The first time she said my name that evening, it was with a confidence that rewrote the direction of my life without my permission, and I didn't realize it until I was standing under the warm yellow lights of a stranger's dining room, my heart pounding like it was about to expose every quiet insecurity I'd ever tried to hide. I had come for a simple dinner, a harmless lie wrapped in politeness, but in a single breath she turned me into someone else entirely in front of the two people whose approval mattered most to her. If you believe in kindness, in unexpected second chances, and in the strange ways life tests our courage, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, because stories like this only matter when they are felt together. I had always thought of her as just another coworker, the kind you share deadlines with and the occasional tired smile across the office. She was quick with her work, careful with her words, and distant in a way that made her seem unapproachable, yet there was something quietly magnetic about her presence. One evening after work, as the sun fell through the glass windows and painted the office gold, she asked if I would join her for dinner at her place. She said it casually, light as if she were inviting me for tea, and I assumed it was nothing more than a friendly gesture. I was wrong, but at that moment, I had no reason to suspect the weight of what awaited me. I arrived with a nervous politeness, holding a modest gift that felt too small for the anxiety in my chest, telling myself I was just being silly, that it was only a meal. The moment her parents opened the door, the atmosphere shifted in a way I could never have predicted. Their faces carried curiosity, expectation, and something tender that made my stomach tighten. I barely had time to introduce myself when I was suddenly introduced as someone I had never claimed to be. The words landed softly in the air yet echoed loudly inside my chest, and for a split second, I considered denying everything, restoring the truth before it grew roots. But I looked at her, at the fear hidden behind her steady eyes, and I hesitated. In that hesitation, a choice was made for me. I smiled, awkward and unsure, and stepped into the role she had assigned me without asking. It felt like stepping onto a stage without rehearsing my lines, aware that every movement would be judged, every silence weighed. Dinner unfolded like a carefully wrapped storm. Her parents were warm, generous, eager to know me, and I felt undeserving of every ounce of their kindness. Each question they asked twisted deeper into my chest, because every answer required a small betrayal of the truth. I spoke of shared moments that never happened, of plans we never made, of a closeness we never discussed. Through it all, she played beside me flawlessly, her expressions calm, her laughter gentle, as if this fragile illusion were as natural as breathing. Yet beneath the surface, I sensed her tension, the way her hands tightened when her parents looked away, the quiet relief that crossed her face whenever I navigated a question without stumbling. I realized then that this dinner was not a joke, not a misunderstanding, but a desperate measure taken for reasons I didn't yet understand. When the evening finally slowed and her parents excused themselves, the silence between us grew loud and heavy. The truth came out in fragments, weighted with shame and fear. She had told them about me because they had been pressuring her relentlessly about her future, about marriage, about proving her happiness in ways she had not yet figured out for herself. She needed a shield, and in a moment of panic, she chose me. I wanted to be angry, and for a moment I was. No one wants to be used as a solution to someone else's fear, especially in such an intimate way. But as she spoke, I saw more than a schemer. I saw a woman trapped between expectation and reality, between love for her parents and the terror of disappointing them. I saw myself in her fear, because I too had spent years pretending to be stronger, more certain, than I truly was. Over the next few weeks, the lie refused to remain a single evening's mistake. Her parents called, visited, invited me again and again, and each time I found myself stepping deeper into the life we had invented. I told myself I was helping her, that it was temporary, that it would end when she found the courage to tell them the truth. But somewhere along the way, the pretend moments began to feel disturbingly real. We cooked together, laughed over burnt dinners, shared quiet rides home after long days at work. I learned about her childhood, her dreams she was too afraid to chase, the parts of herself she kept hidden from everyone else. And without meaning to, I started to care in a way that scared me. The weight of the lie grew heavier, but so did the connection forming beneath it. The guilt crept into my nights like a thief, stealing my sleep. I began to realize that lies, even when born from fear, always demand a price. Every time her parents thanked me for making their daughter happy, the words cut too close to the truth and too far from it at the same time. I wondered who I was becoming in their eyes, and who I was losing in the process. She, too, began to change. The confident mask she wore that first night gave way to vulnerability. She was torn between relief and regret, between wanting to keep this comfortable illusion and knowing it could not survive forever. The pressure that once came only from her parents now pressed inside her chest as well, threatening to break her. The night the truth nearly shattered everything, rain poured against the city as if the sky itself were grieving. Her parents had invited us again, their words full of warmth and expectation, and she could no longer hold herself together. The tension she had carried for so long finally cracked under its own weight. She confessed that she had used me as an escape, that she never intended for things to grow as complicated as they had. I listened in silence, torn between the sting of being a convenient solution and the pain of realizing how deeply I had fallen into a story that was never meant to be real. Yet even in that moment, I saw how terrified she was of losing her parents' trust, of becoming the disappointment she had spent her whole life avoiding. That night, instead of walking away as I should have, I made a different choice. I chose to stay, not for the lie, but for the truth we both needed to face. Slowly, painfully, we began to dismantle the illusion we had built. The conversations with her parents were not easy. There were tears, confusion, anger, and a silence that felt unbearable at times. Her parents struggled to understand why their daughter felt she had to hide behind a stranger to prove her worth. And yet, in that raw honesty, something unexpected happened. They began to listen. They began to see the pressure they had unknowingly placed on her shoulders. The disappointment they feared transformed into understanding, and the family that once needed proof learned instead to offer patience. In the fragile quiet that followed, she and I stood facing the truth of our own hearts. Without the lie to carry us, we had to decide whether what remained between us was real or only the echo of a shared secret. Stripped of pretense, our connection felt smaller in theory but deeper in truth. We had seen each other at our most vulnerable, hiding and afraid. We had walked together through the consequences of deception. And in that shared struggle, something genuine had grown, something neither of us had asked for but both of us had earned through pain and honesty. Time moved forward, as it always does, and with it came healing. Her relationship with her parents softened into something more honest than before. She learned to speak her fears instead of hiding them behind convenient stories. I learned that sometimes, being placed in someone else's storm reveals your own strength in ways you never expected. We were no longer pretending for anyone's sake, and whatever we chose to become from that point on was ours alone, unshaped by fear. If this story touched your heart even a little, I ask you to engage with this video, because every like, comment, and share help stories of truth and second chances reach those who need them most. Just before the ending, I want to ask you something special. If you've ever been misunderstood, used, or unexpectedly changed by someone's fear and found strength on the other side, please leave a comment and share your experience. Your words might be the hope someone else is waiting for. Looking back now, I no longer define that night by the lie that introduced me to a family under false light. I define it by the courage it uncovered in both of us, the painful honesty it demanded, and the quiet proof that even the most fragile beginnings can lead to something real when truth finally takes the lead. What began as a trick ended as a lesson in empathy, boundaries, and the strange, unpredictable ways human hearts learn to trust again.